Hey guys, welcome back to Travel Check-ins with Saidah.
And Germaine.
So today we're going to be talking about why are some African Americans moving back to the States
Right.
after moving to Africa. So a lot of African Americans are moving here. They're looking for a new place to be. They're seeking freedom. They want a fresh start. And so we're going to talk about some of the challenges that African Americans are facing here
Mm-hmm.
on the continent
Right.
and why they are leaving Africa for good. So Germaine, let's talk about unrealistic expectations. What are some of the unrealistic expectations African Americans have that we've been hearing about that are causing them to go back to the States?
Um, I'm gonna be honest. Well, the first one to me, right, and it's not on our script, is a little bit, and I would just say this: research.
Yeah.
You don't do your research of where you're going. You hadn't talked to anybody. You don't know anybody there, and you just seen one or two videos, and you get on the plane, and you come on over, and then you're gonna move somewhere. And people are different all over the world, and if you don't know their customs, you don't know what they're used to doing, saying, seeing, it's going to throw you off.
Mm-hmm.
And even like say something simple as infrastructure, um, certain countries, the lights could go on and off. You have to do your due diligence, man. That's, to me, that is the main reason.
Yeah, and I think also thinking that moving to Africa, you are going to all of a sudden live in this utopia where everything is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I think just having unrealistic expectations about what life is going to be like in another country. I think sometimes people watch YouTube videos and they think they listen to some of this propaganda, this come on home talk. And yeah, you can come to Africa and you can make a home and create a home like Germaine and
Right.
I have done. But don't just believe that just because people say come on home that you're just going to be embraced and it's going to be this community waiting for you. People in Africa are living their own lives in their own countries. They have their own issues.
Right.
And
They got stuff to do.
sometimes in America, sometimes I'm starting to hear like sometimes people are romanticizing the idea of moving back to the continent
Right.
and not really doing
No.
their due diligence.
Right.
So, another thing, number two, we want to talk about is also homesickness and family ties. Because when you move to another country, you can begin to feel homesick. But one of the biggest things is I think people think all of their family and friends is gonna come and they're gonna follow them and they're gonna tell them about how wonderful it is. How's that work out, Janine?
I'll say like this, right? We watch other YouTubers, right? We don't all know each other, but I'm quite sure we all know of each other.
Mm-hmm.
Even the bigger ones, they probably know everybody. I would say this: we all, when I'm listening to them talk, we all have the same story. Nobody that I know has made any concrete plans of coming here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we talk good about the country.
And family and friends, they'll be excited and
Well,
they'll
oh
want to
yeah,
come, yeah.
yeah, that's
But
a big leap,
coming is a big difference between talking about coming.
right? Because
It takes some work.
we're the one actually said we were coming. Nobody else said they were coming,
Right.
right?
So if your family and friends don't come, you have to kind of reconcile that with yourself and say, how are you going to feel if your family and friends never come to visit you and you have to go and visit them in order to see them?
And most likely they are not coming because everybody I see on YouTube and the people I've talked to here, I think one of our friends said she had one cousin to come,
Mm-hmm.
and that's after a couple years, a year or
Mm-hmm.
two. So, but nobody else.
Mm-hmm.
So that seems to be a common theme. Nobody's family and friends are coming. You got to be satisfied with making new friends and
And you're
just
gonna
seeing
still
your
have your same family,
right. You just
but the
got to go see them.
relationship is gonna be different. You're gonna have to do Zooms with them. You're gonna have to call them and stuff like that. But seeing them face to face, you're most likely gonna have to make the effort to go and see them. If they weren't already people who did like traveling outside of
Right.
the country, it's kind of hard to just expect people to start picking up and coming and travel outside of the country just because it's something you did.
And not outside the country, outside of that hemisphere because people go to Jamaica and stuff like that in Mexico,
true,
but
coming
here it's different.
Hours away, it's just different. And then also, even with the holidays and stuff like that, when you're in other countries don't celebrate all the holidays that we celebrate in the States. Thanksgiving and all of this stuff, like, it's not celebrated everywhere. And so maybe sometimes you can feel homesick, especially for the food. Like when Thanksgiving roll around.
Now that's why I feel homesick. I ain't gonna lie. I'm like, ooh.
That you eat in the States.
Yeah.
Like if you into, collard greens and stuffing and baked macaroni and ham hocks and oxtails and jerk chicken, like whatever you like to eat, you might not be able to eat it, and it can cause homesickness, right?
Right, man. If I could snap my finger and be in the U.S. for Thanksgiving Day, snap my finger and be right back here Thanksgiving night. Same thing. Yes, you will feel a difference not seeing that stuffing and turkey and macaroni and cheese and all that because they don't really have U.S. Thanksgiving anyway. They do Christmas here.
Kenya doesn't do turkeys and stuff. No.
The turkey's not big.
Some of the expat groups, when you live in different countries, they will try to put something together.
They do.
If you're American, but it's just not going to be the same. So it's going to be different, and it can cause some homesickness.
Yeah, you meeting them here too.
Yes.
Yeah, so it will. You just got to be resolved now. If you're okay not seeing your family, you'll be okay.
But some people aren't, and then they wind up going back to the States because they miss their family, they miss being around them, and just the benefits of living outside of the country don't outweigh being around their family and friends and the things that are familiar to them.
Right.
I mean, and it's understandable. So the third reason why African Americans leave Africa to never return is financial instability. You can't come live overseas half stepping now. You gotta have your money situation together. So Germaine, talk about some of the challenges of finding work outside of the States.
Every country has different laws, so I can't speak for the whole of Africa. I can speak for this one. You ain't coming over here working. That's just bottom line. You're not doing it, and they're not apologizing for it. Neither should they. They want you to come over here and be an asset. So, but the rest don't really know. I would just say make sure you got your budget planned already before you get here, and then I think you'll be okay if you got some income coming in.
And I would say have a plan A, have a plan B, and have a plan C. You can't really rely on, at least I don't think, just one revenue source, except if it's like something that's from the state or government, like a pension or maybe like disability, something like that. But if it's a job, you definitely want to have a backup plan because you never know when your job can end. A 9-to-5 can end at any time. And then what's going to be your income source? Right. So you have to have something else in place, or you will find yourself returning to the U.S.
Right.
You will leave Africa and never return. And then there's also currency fluctuations. Germaine and I just experienced a currency fluctuation here in Kenya. The shilling went up a little bit. So,
a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, it's not much, but depending on what country you live in, you are going to be exposed to. So what you were getting yesterday's prices won't be today's prices.
Right.
So you got to be mindful of that. Number 4 is cultural misalignment. Germaine, can you talk to us about how people can feel alienated, and that can make them want to move back, especially if they're living somewhere maybe like Asia or something like that?
Well, I guess if you go anywhere and you don't connect with anybody, right? We're not meant to be isolated. So when you come here, you have to do 2 things. You either have to do some of these expat groups, right, to meet other people, or you're going to have to find your community here somewhere with people from Africa. Those are only 2 ways that I see. Yeah. So pick which one you want to do.
It's true. It's definitely true. Because you can feel alienated. I remember when I lived in Seoul, it was hard to make friends with Koreans. So you can definitely feel alienated. Don't think just because you come to Africa that you're gonna feel like you have a community. You just definitely gotta keep that in mind.
If you try to get in the culture, you will, but if you can't keep the same mindset.
Exactly. You can't come just talking about you.
Nah, they don't do that.
You want to come learning about the culture.
Yeah, it's a communal place.
Yes. So number 5 is one of the reasons why African Americans leave Africa and never return is bureaucracy and hand freezing. So Germaine, can you talk about some of the frustrations that people have with visa processes? Because even we ran into an American who we didn't even know him, and he was talking about his thing with visa.
Oh yeah, he's the one that gave me the idea of leave and come back,
We
right?
didn't even know him. Within
No.
5 minutes, he was talking to us.
Yeah, he's been here 10 years, we said, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you have to be used to things just not run like it runs in the US. The rules, regulations different. Sometimes you might have to, I ain't gonna talk about it much, but people here know what I'm talking about. Sometimes you got
yeah,
to
I mean,
grease
it's
some
just
hands.
issues. I mean, issues with going from one country to the other, issues at the border, issues with all kinds of.
Yeah, that's not something I'm doing.
Yeah, briberies, there's property ownership issues, there's corruption in daily life. So those are some of the things that may make someone run back to the US, especially if they get into a situation where they lose a large amount of money on some kind of investment. Man, that could make you go back to the States. That's why we're being very careful.
Do your due diligence, then you'll be okay. If you don't,
you might be going back to America with a clothes on your back.
And if you don't do your due diligence in America, it can happen to you there.
It's true, because that happened to us.
Don't be a dummy.
Yeah. So Germaine, do you think that this kind of system can be overwhelming sometimes?
I mean, I guess if you're that type of person, for me, no. I mean, it is what it is, right?
It's annoying sometimes.
Yeah, it definitely could be, especially in the beginning, right? But after you get used to the way of living, that's what it is. Right. Like, what else are you gonna do? You're either gonna stay here, you're gonna go back. You stay here, you're gonna get used to it.
Oh, right. So number 6 on our list is a lack of access to certain amenities outside of big towns. So what are some of the challenges with unreliable electricity, water, internet? Some people say they want to come here and I don't want to live in Nairobi. They say I want to live way out in
I know because a lot of people don't like the city.
Yeah.
So, and I definitely get it, but you may not get the same. Like Nairobi has big towns, right? So they have electricity and stuff like that. Not Nairobi, I mean Kenya has big towns. So I mean, you have stuff there that you can survive on, but you don't. In the small towns in the USA, you probably have a little bit more. I don't know. A
reliable electrical grid and system, right?
Yeah.
It's more reliable. But sometimes when you go out to some of these places, you are dealing with solar power,
which is good.
Yeah, which is good. But so you just want to kind of take those things into consideration. And so sometimes people think they're just going to move out to some of these rural places. Like, 'cause some people, they talk about moving to some really rural places where you're using the squat toilet. Like, you got to know, can you live with the squat toilet?
I mean, you don't have to all the time.
But some people come here and they want to they say they want to entrench themselves.
I don't know those people.
I'm like, okay, you're going to deal with the squat toilet?
Yeah.
That might make you go back to the U.S.
Ain't nobody doing that.
So number 7 is unmet expectations of community. Germaine, do you think that sometimes people come here and they maybe feel like they're an outsider, and is that something that might send them back to the U.S.?
Well, yeah, you are an outsider.
Facts.
So yeah, it's your job to make yourself an insider, and that's going to take a while because you don't know the backgrounds of most. It's tribal here, so you got to know the backgrounds of these tribes and what language they speak. Man, you're an outsider. You don't know. Only language you know is English for the most part, and some of us know broken English and normal, I guess, English. But here, it's 3-4 languages usually from everybody. So you're gonna be an outsider,
and you have to be okay with that. Like, you got to understand, me and Germaine, we're invited to events, and we're outsiders because we're new. But the one thing I love about Kenyans is, like, when we go to events and stuff like that, even though we kind of feel like we're outsiders because we'll see people know each other, but people are so welcoming. Like, everybody just come up to us and talk to us, or people we know take us around and introduce us to people, or we just naturally introduce ourselves to different people. So with those 3 things, if you are friendly, like our pastor says, people who are friends are friendly, right?
Right.
You got to be friendly to make friends.
You can't be a hermit here, not being from here. You
Right.
cannot, because you can't. I don't see how you can survive.
Right. You have to like put yourself out there, and people in Kenya are very welcoming. What do you think? Could you thrive in Africa? What are some of the ways that African Americans can come here to Kenya or Africa, any of the countries in Africa, and really fit in and make a life in your country? We'd love for you to let us know down in the comment section below. Make sure you guys like this video and make sure you subscribe to our channel, and we will catch you guys in the next video.